Hey everyone, my name's Navita and I am a third-year tax professional. So today I actually wanted to go over some things I've been seeing. So as a third-year professional, I obviously don't know everything and I'm learning as I go, but there's some things that I have encountered and I may have some answers. If you have a different answer to some of these questions, please comment down below. I'd love to hear your perspective or how you would handle the situation. So let's get started. The first one, I know someone who needs to file their taxes for the years 2023 to the year 2026, but do not have W-2s. What are their options? So you are able to file back up to 5 years. You can only e-file, I believe, up to 3 years back, and you have to mail in the other years prior. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you don't have your W-2s, you can go on the IRS website, and I'm gonna show you right here. You can go to the IRS website, create an ID.me account, and you can log in and you'll be able to see all of your transcripts if you owe, if there's any audits pending against you, and it's a great way to keep track of your taxes for tax season. Okay, next question. Or this that I found, some of these I found on Facebook groups there that I'm in the tax groups. It's real questions from real people and it's just crazy. So I also wanted to make sure you guys know that none of these are my clients. So the more money you make, the more taxes you have to pay in, not the bigger refund. Stop adding income you don't have because you will pay taxes on it. And I completely agree with that. You can't just add income out of nowhere. You have to be able to prove it and be able to report it. So I agree with that one. Another one I found, when filing married filing separately, do you have to enter the spouse's info? Is there any software that allows you not to put this info in? So I actually want to show you guys what the program looks like. So I'm going to log into my tax software. I'm just going to go into a dummy account, as you can see right here. So when we go back to the basic information and you go to filing status, the option married filing separately, now you see it gives you these options. So the spouse lived with primary at any time during the year, spouse itemized on their separate return. So if your spouse lived with you, you would select that and then continue. Then it takes you to the personal information where you are required to enter the spousal information. So yes, you do have to enter it. There's no way to avoid entering it. This one kind of blows my mind, but I mean, that's just what some people do sometimes. So this one, it says, this is the second handwritten W-2 I've seen this week, and now I'm questioning the validity of their documents. Either the employer isn't running proper payroll or the client is trying to rush filing. I don't accept handwritten W-2s since there's no employee portal. I advise the client we can either wait until January 31st for an official W-2 and verify employment directly with the employer, or wait until March to pull up the wage and income transcript to confirm the reported amounts. How would you proceed? I'd proceed the exact same way. I would not take a handwritten W-2 because that is false fraud written all over it, literally handwritten all over it. So I would do the same thing. We wait for a W-2 because other than that, there's no way to prove what you're saying. And you can't just put it in as a 1099 because you were a W-2 employee. I like this one too. So going exempt all year isn't a strategy, it's a gamble, that's for sure. And that means no withholding often means smaller refunds or owing a tax time. Plan smart, not last minute. I agree with that because if you have nothing withheld on your W-2, no taxes taken out, you are definitely owing taxes and you're definitely gonna have to figure out something. No, that's not, going exempt all year is not good. I like this one. Hello there, awesome tax experts. Do you guys refuse certain clients? And if so, what are some of the reasons? Yes, I do reject some clients that seem to be a little I call it problematic, but it's when there's just way too much going on. They're unsure, they're unhappy, they're, they want to do too much. For example, I had a client who wanted to claim head of household for her, her mother, and her sister that all live together in the same house. Can't have that happen. So that is a problematic client. Also, if they don't like what you're doing, if they don't like your strategy, they're more than welcome to go to TurboTax or to go somewhere else. I am just providing a quote. If you don't like it, then you have options. So that's what makes tax season flexible. I want to say flexible. All right. At what point do you say a Schedule C client is unprepared, not just disorganized? Curious to see where y'all draw the line. So when it comes to Schedule Cs, the thing about it is a 1099, if you are a 1099 employee, it is translated into a Schedule C. So on the tax program, which I can show you, on the tax program, when you enter in your 1099 information, it asks you, are you doing a Schedule C or a Schedule F for farming? So right here, I can show you Schedule C or Schedule F. We're gonna do Schedule C because it's technically business expenses, self-employed. So now we get to deduct expenses and try to get you a bigger refund because you're able to now. With a 1099, there's no federal withholding, there's no taxes withheld. So you are always going to end up owing unless you write off enough to get out of the negative. This is kind of funny. My client is married but cheating and wants to file head of household using her side piece's address. Can she do that, or do I need to file two separate returns? One with her husband and one with her boyfriend's address. Just trying to make sure I do it right. So I have a lot of questions on this. Okay, so regardless of who your relationship is with, it's who you're living with because they base everything on your living address. So if she wants to file head of household, she can't do that with her husband unless they decide to file him head of household, her single, if there's dependents, or if there's businesses involved, they're able to file in a different form. But if she wants to file head of household, it depends on her boyfriend. Is she taking care of her boyfriend? Is he not filing? Is he like her dependent? Like, I have a lot of questions with that one. So what would you guys say to that one? Another one, okay, if I'm a stay-at-home mom, but my boyfriend, the child's father, baby daddy, I guess you want to say, sends her $200 a week for them, would she be able to claim them and file her taxes herself? So she's saying that if her child's father sends her money to take care of the child and she's a stay-at-home mom, obviously she doesn't have an income, can she still file her taxes? Now, I have some questions with that too. I would first ask if she has any side income, if she has any self-employment business that she's done. It didn't have to be registered. Any cash, any side money that you make, you have to report. So I would ask that first if she had any side income. That way, yes, she would be able to claim the child on her own and file her own taxes. In the event that she doesn't, I think that the baby daddy should claim her and the child, depending on if they live together as well. Honestly, like, what would you guys do? If she had, is that her income? Is the $200 her income? Can we report that as income? Because we have to claim where she's getting it from. So is it a form of child support? Because if it's child support, then you don't report it. So you see how I can get down a rabbit hole? So what would you guys do? Because that one's a little bit, I'm not too sure on that one. I like this one because this one is 100% facts, and this has been affecting a lot of people this tax season. So this is a prime example why you should pay into taxes. And mind you, I'm just reading word for word from this post. So it says, them dependents are not going to save you every time, especially when you're in a different tax bracket. A client came in, one dependent, almost $70K in income, and only paid $200 in taxes. And they're like, hello? After seeing what deductions and credits they legally qualified for, I got her out of the negatives, and she resulted in a refund, a $267 refund. and the AGI didn't change. Fees were paid up front, and I also assisted with her with properly filling out her W-4 form. That's something that I've advised my clients as well. If they have no withholding, that no number in that W-2, that second box, go back to your W-4 when you're able to in your employment and change your W-4, change your withholding. That way you have taxes taken out, maybe a little bit more, but you won't end up owing at the end of the year. I've had a few clients do that and they ended up getting a bigger refund than they would normally have ever gotten because they fixed that W-4. So this is a prime example. Just because you have a dependent, you make a lot of income, doesn't mean you're entitled to a bigger refund as well. Doesn't mean you always get that child tax credit. It looks like this client didn't even get the child tax credit. They only got $267 in a refund. So that just goes to show you, regardless of credits, regardless of everything, you have to plug in all the numbers. Tax professionals are not magicians. There's no way that the IRS is not paying attention to these large refunds or these fraudulent made-up returns. So keep an eye out for your 1040s. So this one is a good one, but they haven't had a job since 2024, and she has 2 kids. Her husband is a veteran with no job as well. Can they file taxes? Unfortunately, no. From what I've known, if there's no income, there's no tax return. If you don't have any income, if you're on disability, if you're getting government help, there's no taxes to file. So unfortunately, no, they would not as a couple be able to file. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments because that's just from what I've learned. Can 2 people file the same dependent, and if not, who will get rejected? This one's a good one because this one's common. Everybody who has a spouse and they have kids that they share in between, this is always the race and file their kids first, because whoever files them first claims them, and whoever tries to do it after that is the one who gets rejected. So there is no who goes first, who gets rejected. Whoever files first gets it first, and that's the messed up part about it. But the IRS is also keeping track of that, and they want non-custodial parents to fill out a form. And let me tell you what the form is. In order for them to claim, the IRS is requiring Form 8332 or a similar statement containing the same information required by the form to his or her return, and the form must be signed by the custodial parent. Tax pros: if you have someone who is married to a non-resident who doesn't have income or work, can she be head of household? So this one, it plays into the immigration stuff and being a non-resident alien. So if the tax pros, it's saying that if someone's married to a non-resident who doesn't have income, can she be head of household? Okay, so you guys tell me what you would say in the comments, but for me, I would say because they're married, they have to do married filing jointly. If they weren't married yet, he or she may be able to be claimed as a dependent, but if they are married, they have to do married filing jointly, even though he has no income, because she's not claiming him as a dependent. So that's something else the IRS is looking at, is falsely claiming head of household or not understanding how to claim head of household. So that's also important. So client asked, my 17-year-old received a 1098-T form today. Can I file it with my taxes? Jackson Hewitt says no, the child has to be 24. That is confusing. So first of all, the child is a dependent under that person, under the parent. So they have to be filed on their taxes as a dependent. So yes, they would be able to claim the education credit, which is the 1098-T. The age of 24, I don't know what Jackson Hewitt is telling people. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. The age of 24 is the age up until you can claim them I believe. After 24, then you can't claim them anymore on your taxes, and then they can file on their own. One thing I've learned is you can only claim the education credit 4 years in a row for the same person. So I like this one too. This is another example of the zero withholding on a W-2, what it looks like. So this person said, if your W-2 shows 0 federal and 0 state taxes withheld, stop scrolling, this is for you. I'm gonna say this gently but clearly. Stop doing that right now, today. If you don't have dependents to claim, going tax exempt all year is a setup. If you're not avoiding taxes, you're postponing the bill and the IRS always collects. And guess what? When you don't pay throughout the year, it costs you more later. Penalties, stress, surprise balances. Pay what you owe as you earn it, update your W-4, save yourself the headache at tax time. So this person, I completely agree. When you update your W-4, you have a better outcome during tax season. So I'm gonna come back and find some more so we can discuss more. But like I said, if you had any opinions, anything that I said that was different to what you know, please tell me because I'd like to learn. I'm always open to hear everybody's perspective. So thank you for tax time.